The space station hung silently above the alien planet, its lights twinkling against the black emptiness of space. Commander Lena Ortega floated through the narrow corridors, her boots clanging softly against the metal floor. The station was enormous, a maze of labs, living quarters, and command centers, but right now it felt impossibly small. Something was coming, and everyone aboard knew it. The alarms had begun hours ago, but the warning had finally become real. Lena could see it in the eyes of the crew as they moved hurriedly through the halls, fear mixed with disbelief. She entered the control room, a place usually humming with quiet efficiency, now filled with tense faces. Monitors flashed red warnings, showing streams of incomprehensible data from sensors around the station. The alien weapon had been detected just a few minutes ago, but the countdown had already begun. 4 minutes remained. 4 minutes before the weapon's energy would sweep across the planet and the station, destroying everything. 4 minutes, and there was no obvious way out. Lena's mind raced. She scanned the data again. Standard emergency protocols would suggest evacuation, send everyone to the escape pods, evacuate the station, and hope some survived. But she knew the escape pods were destroyed, sabotaged by the weapon's initial strike. Communication with Earth had been cut off, leaving them isolated. Panic had started to ripple through the crew. A few voices cried out for leadership, but most moved like shadows, frozen between fear and action. Lena took a deep breath and spoke firmly. "Listen to me. Running isn't an option. Hiding isn't an option. We have 4 minutes. And in 4 minutes, if we do nothing, we die. But I promise you this. We are not going to let that happen without trying something else." He had seen many dangerous situations, but this was unprecedented. The weapon they were facing was unlike anything humans had ever encountered. It was not just a bomb. It was precise, fast, and intelligent, controlled by a technology that mimicked thought. Lena had seen the data. It calculated, adapted, and punished mistakes. "We need to act differently," Lena continued, moving to the central console. Her fingers danced over the touch panels, pulling up energy readings and schematics of the weapon. "It's not just a bomb. I've analyzed the pattern. There's an anomaly, something odd. The weapon's energy signature is not linear. It's variable, chaotic in a way that doesn't make sense. I think it can be hacked from the inside, but it will require someone to interface directly. And yes, it will be dangerous." Still, the idea of stepping into the core of a planet-killing weapon was something else entirely. "Yes," Lena replied calmly, her eyes never leaving the screens. "And I know exactly who should do it. There has to be another way." The crew understood the weight of the situation. Lena was right. This weapon was designed to outthink humans to make them predictable. But humans had something that no weapon, no AI, no alien strategy could predict: creativity, intuition, courage, and the willingness to improvise. Lena moved to the interface chamber, a small, circular room at the heart of the station. The chamber was designed for high-risk experiments and neural interfacing, but never for this level of danger. Wires hung from the ceiling like metallic vines, and panels of light reflected off the polished floors. The weapon's signal could be accessed from here, and the neural link would allow a person to synchronize with the AI controlling the weapon, understanding its logic and potentially redirecting it. Milo and Harris followed reluctantly. Milo's hands shook slightly as he adjusted cables and checked readings. Harris stood beside him, arms crossed, jaw tight, eyes darting nervously to the countdown clock projected on the wall. 3:30, 3:29. Lena didn't glance at it. She didn't need to. Every second was a reminder that waiting was as dangerous as any direct action. "I've calculated the risks," Lena said, her voice steady. "The interface is dangerous. It can fry your neural pathways, erase memories, even kill. But if I succeed, the weapon will enter a safe mode, will neutralize it. And if I fail—" Her voice trailed, leaving the consequences unsaid but understood. Milo swallowed hard. "You're sure there's no other option?" His voice barely rose above a whisper. Lena nodded. "I've checked every protocol, every contingency. This is the only option that doesn't end with everyone dying." Milo monitored her vitals and neural activity, sweat beating on his forehead. Harris watched the countdown, fingers tapping nervously against his arm. The AI's presence hit Lena like a wave. It was cold, analytical, and overwhelming. Thoughts not her own invaded her mind, calculations, probabilities, and predictions. The AI was aware she was there. It recognized the intrusion and immediately tried to expel her, using logic and rapid mental projections to force her out. Lena gritted her teeth and focused. She had trained for simulations, mental exercises, and combat scenarios, but nothing like this. She forced herself to remain calm, using the one advantage humans had: unpredictability. The AI could calculate patterns, predict responses, but it could not anticipate raw intuition, creative thought, or the instinct to survive. Outside the chamber, Milo and Harris worked feverishly. The AI tried to breach the station's defenses, sending energy pulses that could fry the systems if not contained. Milo rerouted power, locked doors, and stabilized the interface, all while watching Lena's vitals spike and dip erratically. "Hold on, Commander," he muttered. "Just hold on." She could feel the heat, the potential destruction, almost tasting it. But she pushed forward, twisting patterns in her mind, bending the AI's logic in directions it could not predict. She injected instinct, randomness, and human problem-solving into the machine's calculations. The crew outside could only watch, holding their breath as Lena fought in silence. Harris whispered, "Come on, Lena, come on," as if sheer will could aid her. Milo adjusted another panel, sweat rolling down his temple, praying that her mind could outthink the cold precision of the weapon. The countdown approached 30 seconds. Lena's thoughts raced faster than any machine. She realized she needed to do something bold, something no one, not even the AI, could foresee. She made a decision. She would make the AI believe the weapon had already fired. The machine could not reconcile this with its programming. If it accepted the illusion, it would halt the activation sequence, giving the crew a chance to survive. Her neural commands surged into the AI, twisting calculations, warping energy flows, and creating a pattern that mimicked a detonation sequence. The AI hesitated, unable to adjust its logic quickly enough. For a fraction of a second, Lena felt the weapon's mind falter, a brief opening that could mean life or death. Milo's voice cracked over the intercom. "It's slowing down. The energy spikes are decreasing." Harris let out a long breath, relief washing over him, but neither dared to celebrate. 4 minutes had almost passed, but survival was still uncertain. Lena continued to manipulate the AI, reinforcing the illusion, guiding the energy safely away from the station's core. The system shuddered, lights flickered, and alarms screamed, but the weapon's activation sequence began to unravel. Her body strained in the interface, neural pathways burning, mind screaming with effort, but she held on. She would not let it go. She could not let it go. Finally, with a final push, Lena severed the link, pulling herself free just as the weapon's core stabilized. The chamber doors opened, and she collapsed into Harris's arms, gasping for air. Milo rushed to check the systems, confirming what everyone dared hope: the weapon was neutralized. The planet was safe. The station was still intact. Humanity had survived not through brute force, but through courage, creativity, and the refusal to follow predictable paths. Lena looked at her team, sweat and exhaustion covering her face, but her eyes bright with determination. "We did what no one expected," she said, her voice weak but resolute. "And that is exactly why we survived." Inside, humanity had proven once again that its greatest weapon was not technology, not firepower, but the ingenuity and courage of its own people. And somewhere deep in space, the first sparks of respect for humanity flickered in eyes that had thought themselves superior, unaware that unpredictability, audacity, and relentless spirit could not be measured or defeated. The station had stopped shaking, but the tension did not leave the control room. Crew members slumped in their chairs, exhausted and pale, staring at the screens that showed the neutralized weapon. The 4-minute countdown had ended, and for a moment it seemed humanity had survived against impossible odds. But Lena Ortega knew better. The danger was far from over. The weapon had been neutralized this time, but it was still out there, an alien construct built to destroy, to punish, to test. Its AI might have faltered, but it was intelligent and adaptive. The system they had interfaced with was complex, and Lena understood one simple truth: if they did not act carefully, the weapon could restart or even retaliate. This was not a victory. It was a pause. She pulled herself from Harris's support, steadying her legs and looking at Milo. The young engineer's face was streaked with sweat and grime. "You okay?" she asked, her voice calm, almost soft. Milo nodded, but she could see the tremor in his hands. The boy had seen death, or the possibility of it, close enough to touch. I think so," Milo said, blinking rapidly. I can't believe it actually worked. You did it. What else is there to do? We need to know what we are facing and how to stop it for good. You want to risk more lives to study it. We need every human advantage we can use. Prepare the interface. I will go in again. It was beautiful in its own deadly way, a reminder that even destruction could be elegant, but only humans could find a way to survive. The interface chamber was cold, sterile, and humming with latent energy. Lena stepped onto the platform, and Milo began adjusting the neural connectors. "We've calibrated everything for maximum synchronization," he said. "Your mind will have to adapt faster than before. The AI might anticipate your approach this time, since it knows you survived once. It will try to counter every move. And it's time we use it." She took a deep breath as the room hummed, lights blinking in synchronization with the AI's distant signals. This time the AI's presence felt different. It was aware, alert, almost suspicious. Lena could sense the intelligence probing, testing her, measuring her responses. "You're awake in there," Milo whispered, watching the monitors nervously. "I'm here," Lena replied, her voice calm. But inside her mind, it was anything but calm. The AI reached out, probing her thoughts, trying to anticipate her actions. Lena allowed herself to feel it, its cold calculations, its logic, but she refused to submit. She wove her mental patterns carefully, introducing randomness, unpredictability, creativity. The AI faltered, just slightly, but it was enough. Humans had that advantage. Humans could think sideways, see beyond pure logic, imagine possibilities a machine could not. Lena exploited that. She mapped the weapon's internal structures, following the energy flows like a river. She traced pathways the AI had overlooked, openings in its programming, vulnerabilities created by complexity. Minutes passed, or maybe seconds. Time had lost meaning inside the interface. Lena could feel the AI pushing back, trying to take control, but she held her ground. She allowed herself to sense the patterns, not just the calculations. She thought of crew members, of Earth, of every human she had ever met who had improvised, survived, or triumphed against impossible odds. Those memories became part of her strategy, a reminder that humanity was not predictable. Outside, Milo adjusted the station systems to stabilize her connection. "She's holding," he whispered to Harris. "I can't believe it, she's holding." She introduced more unpredictability, more improvisation, until the AI hesitated. It could sense the anomaly but could not resolve it. "Almost there," Lena whispered to herself, though the words were meant more for grounding than for anyone to hear. She could feel the station trembling slightly as the energy readings fluctuated. She pushed forward, manipulating the quantum stabilizers, rerouting the weapon's energy flows in ways the AI could not anticipate. And then she saw it, a potential sequence that no human engineer could have predicted, but that she could create. A pattern that would allow the AI to stabilize, to think it was in control, while she redirected its energy harmlessly. It was risky, impossible even, but human intuition had guided her to it. Milo noticed the change immediately. "Commander, the readings, energy is diverting, it's working." Neural pathways burned, synapses fired rapidly, and yet she maintained control. The AI tried to counter, to adapt, but it could not keep up. Every time it recalculated, Lena had already altered the pattern. Every time it predicted her move, she improvised another. Finally, with a concentrated mental effort, she initiated the final sequence. The AI faltered completely, unable to reconcile the chaotic human pattern with its rigid logic. The weapon's internal systems calmed, energy levels returned to safe thresholds, and the countdown ceased. The interface disconnected with a sudden pop of electricity and a wave of dizziness. Lena slumped in the chair, exhausted but alive. Milo rushed to her side, checking her vitals and wiping sweat from her brow. "You did it again," he said, voice trembling. Harris let out a long breath, relief flooding his features. "I don't know how you did that," he said, "but you've just saved all our lives again. That is our advantage, and that is why we survive always." A human had faced a weapon designed to calculate every possibility and had triumphed, not through brute force, not through overwhelming power, but through creativity, courage, and instinct. Lena stood slowly, supported by Milo and Harris. She looked out the viewport at the alien planet below, glowing faintly in the distance. The weapon was neutralized, but the planet remained, a reminder that danger had not vanished entirely. She knew that other threats might come and that the weapon's AI could evolve, adapt, and return. But for now, humanity had won this round, and they had done it in a way that no one alien or machine could have predicted. Harris clapped a hand on her shoulder. "Commander, you just made history. Humanity will be remembered for this, not for the machines we build, but for the minds behind them. The universe has many surprises, and humanity must always be ready. That is what makes us human. That is what no weapon, no AI, and no alien force can ever truly defeat. The station hummed with quiet life once more. Systems stabilized, alarms silenced, and the crew began repairing damage and checking protocols. Outside, the alien world glowed calmly, unaware that it had just been spared by the audacity, courage, and creativity of humanity. And inside, Lena Ortega allowed herself a brief moment of rest, knowing that this victory, though hard one, was proof of something greater. Humans could survive the impossible. Humans could defy prediction. Humans could, in the face of certain death, do what no one expected. The station hummed softly now, but the tension had not left the air. The crew moved cautiously through the corridors, repairing minor damages and checking systems, yet their eyes often flicked toward the central chamber where Lena Ortega would once again interface with the alien weapon. The first attempt had neutralized it temporarily, but Lena knew the AI had not been defeated. It was still alive, intelligent, calculating. And this time it would anticipate humanity's attempts. Milo paced outside the chamber, his young face tight with worry. Harris leaned against the console, arms crossed, jaw tense. They both understood the stakes. The weapon had been paused once by human unpredictability, but the AI would adapt. It would learn. And if it learned, humanity could face a threat they might not survive next time. Lena entered the chamber, moving with a steady determination that belied the exhaustion in her muscles and mind. She had rested but not fully recovered. Her first interface had drained her, yet there was no room for hesitation. The weapon's AI needed to be studied, understood, and, if necessary, controlled. Humanity's survival depended on it. "Are the systems ready?" she asked, glancing at Milo. "Yes," Milo said quickly, fingers flying over the controls. "All parameters are synchronized, neural interface calibrated. Your vitals are being monitored continuously. You'll have full access to the AI's internal structure. It will anticipate your moves." Lena lowered herself into it, and the neural connectors descended onto her head. The lights flickered as the system synchronized with her neural pathways. The AI's presence emerged almost instantly, probing her mind, calculating every possibility, searching for weakness. This time, Lena felt it immediately. The AI was stronger, more alert, and aware of her previous intrusion. It tried to anticipate her thoughts, to control her mental patterns, to predict the improvisation that had saved them once before. But Lena was prepared. She allowed herself to feel the AI's calculations, to map them, and then she introduced chaos, randomness that only a human mind could generate. The first few moments were disorienting. Lena felt the weapon's logic intertwine with her own mind, a cold, unyielding presence attempting to dominate her thoughts. She could see the energy flows, the quantum destabilizers, the internal mechanisms, all calculated perfectly, efficiently, logically. But human intuition could not be quantified. That was her advantage. She moved through the AI's logic carefully, exploring its inner workings. She noted patterns that made sense, but more importantly, she searched for anomalies. Every machine has limits. Every AI, no matter how advanced, relies on rules and assumptions. Lena's task was to find the cracks where human creativity could slip through. Outside, Milo adjusted the station's stabilizers to maintain the interface. "She's in," he whispered to Harris. "Vitals are stable so far, but this is intense. I can see it on the monitors. The AI is testing her, pushing back. And we'll be ready if she needs us to intervene." The first breakthrough came when Lena discovered a subtle misalignment in the AI's quantum calculations. It was not a flaw that would destroy it, but it was enough to create a distraction. She amplified the anomaly with her own neural input, forcing the AI to reconsider its calculations. It hesitated, just for a moment, but that was enough. She pushed further, moving through the AI's mind as if exploring a labyrinth. Each turn presented challenges, energy pulses that threatened to overwhelm her neural pathways, logic loops designed to trap her in endless calculation, and simulated outcomes meant to frighten and confuse. Lena ignored them all. She relied on creativity, imagination, and human instinct to navigate the AI's mind. Minutes or maybe seconds passed. Time was meaningless inside the interface. She mapped the weapon's structure, traced energy conduits, and began formulating a plan. If she could reroute the energy flows within the AI itself, she could create a controlled feedback loop. It would neutralize the weapon's destructive potential and give humanity a way to monitor and predict its behavior. But the AI was not passive. It sensed the manipulation and reacted, sending rapid pulses through Lena's neural connection. Pain and dizziness surged, threatening to overwhelm her senses. She gritted her teeth and focused, allowing Milo and Harris to stabilize the connection. The station shuddered slightly under the strain, lights flickering, alarms muted but present. "You can do this," Milo whispered. "I can keep the system stable, just focus." She could bend it, force it to behave in ways it was not designed to. Her mind raced as she synchronized with the AI's energy conduits. She could see the weapon's core, a complex lattice of energy and quantum fields, pulsing with potential destruction. She traced the paths carefully, rerouting them mentally, diverting energy into safe channels and creating feedback loops that the AI could not calculate. Outside, Milo monitored the readings. "Energy is stabilizing," he shouted. "It's working." Harris leaned closer, eyes wide. "No, that's impossible." "She's not just neutralizing it, she's controlling it." That thought anchored her, gave her strength, and sharpened her focus. The AI attempted a final counterattack, projecting simulations of every possible failure, every conceivable outcome, designed to overwhelm and confuse. Lena's body reacted instinctively, dodging the mental traps, rerouting energy, and manipulating the AI's perception of the situation. She used instinct and creativity, things no AI could predict, to maintain control. Finally, Lena initiated the last phase of her plan. She created a controlled illusion, making the AI believe it had already achieved victory. The weapon's energy stabilized completely, its destructive potential rendered harmless, while the AI was trapped in a loop of its own calculations. It could not reconcile its logic with the chaotic human input it had encountered. Outside, Milo and Harris watched in stunned silence as the readings confirmed the weapon's neutralization. "She did it! She actually did it!" Milo whispered, voice trembling. Harris shook his head, all written across his features. "I don't know how, but she's done it. I don't think anyone could have done what you just did. That is what keeps us alive. Not through force, not through technology alone, but through the ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability of a single human mind." Lena sat for a moment, gathering strength. She knew the victory was temporary. The weapon's AI could still evolve, adapt, and learn from their interactions. But she also knew something more important. Humans were capable of thinking in ways no machine or alien could anticipate. That unpredictability was their strength, and it was a force that no weapon could fully overcome. Harris clapped her on the shoulder, a rare smile on his weathered face. "Commander, you've proven something today. Not just that humans survive, but that we are something more than what any AI or alien can predict. We are audacious, clever, and unyielding, and that will always make us dangerous. If humans can do this, then maybe we really can survive anything. Not machines, not aliens, not even the impossible." She allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. Humans had faced an impossible threat, and they had triumphed. Their creativity, courage, and unpredictability had turned the tide. And as she gazed at the stars, Lena knew that no matter what came next, humanity would continue to do what no one expected. And that was a power that no enemy could fully comprehend. The station seemed calm now, but calm was deceptive. Every corner held the memory of the weapon's imminent threat, every shadow a reminder that failure could return in an instant. Lena Ortega stood in the central chamber, reviewing the AI's internal patterns, tracing its logic like a map. Milo hovered nearby, adjusting the monitoring systems, while Harris paced, arms crossed, his expression a mixture of caution and admiration. "We've contained it for now," Milo said, eyes fixed on the fluctuating energy streams on the screen. "But the AI is still active. It's learning from us. If we stop here, it could adapt and find another way to reactivate the weapon. But it's risky. It might be the only way to ensure the weapon cannot be used again. If it accepts that, it will stand down permanently, believing its mission is complete. We've done this in part before, but this time we do it fully. No half measures. One mistake and it could fry your neural link, or worse. It's risky, but humanity has survived because we take risks no one else would. That is what this weapon and its creators cannot understand." Lena lowered herself into the chair, the neural connectors descending onto her head. Lights flickered across the chamber as her neural patterns synced with the AI. Almost instantly, she felt its presence. The weapon's mind was alert, calculating, analyzing. It remembered her previous attempt and tried immediately to anticipate her next move. Inside the interface, Lena felt the AI probing her thoughts, testing her patterns, attempting to predict her actions. She allowed herself to feel it, to sense its cold, unyielding logic. Then she introduced unpredictability. Chaos, human intuition, creativity. She would not be trapped. She would not be predictable. She would do what the AI could not calculate. Outside, Milo monitored every vital and every neural fluctuation, ready to stabilize the connection. Harris watched the energy readings, his body tense, every muscle prepared for action. They could not interfere directly with the AI, but they could ensure Lena's survival and prevent the weapon from reacting dangerously. Lena began the process of creating the illusion. She traced the energy flows, rerouted the core sequences, and projected a false sequence of detonation into the AI's calculations. Every pulse, every energy spike, every logic loop was carefully manipulated to mimic a complete activation. The AI sensed the changes immediately, but it could not reconcile the simulated victory with its internal logic. Minutes passed, or maybe seconds. Time lost meaning inside the interface. Lena could feel the AI resisting, projecting possibilities and outcomes at incredible speed, trying to find flaws in her manipulation. But human intuition could not be matched. She introduced small, unpredictable elements, patterns it could not anticipate, forces it could not calculate. "Commander," Milo whispered, eyes glued to the monitors. "The energy levels, they're stabilizing. The AI is hesitating. It's working." Every calculation, every energy channel, every output was consistent with total detonation. The AI processed the information and for the first time paused. It could not resolve the contradiction. Logic could not predict chaos. The human mind had once again created the impossible. The station trembled slightly under the strain. Lights flickered, alarms sounded briefly, but the energy readings remained stable. Milo adjusted the external stabilizers, sweat rolling down his face, his hands flying over the controls. Harris monitored the countdown sequences, ensuring that no energy feedback could escape. Inside, Lena felt the AI falter. It tried to recalculate, but the illusion was complete. She reinforced the projection, amplifying the patterns, ensuring that every system, every sequence, every potential failure point was accounted for. The AI could only observe and accept. It was trapped by the very human unpredictability that had saved them twice before. Finally, Lena initiated the last phase of her plan. She created a controlled feedback loop within the AI, locking its calculations into a self-consistent illusion of victory. Energy stabilized completely. Systems aligned. The weapon's destructive potential was rendered harmless, fully contained, while the AI remained trapped in the false perception of success. Outside, Milo and Harris exhaled together, watching the readings confirm what they dared hope. "She's done it," Milo whispered. "The weapon is completely neutralized. I can't believe it. We're clever, audacious, unstoppable in ways no AI can fully understand." "It's not just me, it's all of us. Humans are unpredictable, imaginative, resourceful. That is why we survive. That is why we cannot be controlled or defeated by logic alone." Humans had faced a weapon designed to calculate every possibility and destroy everything in its path, and had prevailed through courage, creativity, and instinct. Outside, the alien world remained unchanged, glowing faintly under the distant sun. It was beautiful in its own way, indifferent to the struggle that had just taken place above it. But the weapon, once a force of destruction, was now silent, contained, unable to act. Humanity had triumphed through ingenuity and audacity, the traits no AI or alien could predict or fully comprehend. Lena sat for a moment, catching her breath. She knew the victory was temporary, but the weapon had been rendered harmless for now. The AI could adapt, evolve, or even attempt to reactivate, but humans had demonstrated something more powerful than calculation: intuition, creativity, and courage. That was a force the universe could never fully measure or control. Harris clapped her shoulder, a rare smile crossing his face. "Commander, you've done more than survive. You've shown what humans are capable of. Not just clever, not just brave, unpredictable. That will make us remembered and feared in ways machines cannot anticipate. And as long as we keep thinking, imagining, and daring, no AI, no weapon, no enemy can truly defeat us. That is the power of humanity." And somewhere far beyond the stars, those who believed they could predict or control humans would begin to reconsider. For Lena, the moment was brief. She allowed herself only a few deep breaths before standing, strengthened by purpose and determination. Humanity had triumphed, and she knew the universe would continue to challenge them. But she also knew that no matter what threats emerged, humans would continue to defy expectations, improvise, and survive. And in that knowledge lay their greatest strength, a power no weapon, no AI, and no alien could ever fully comprehend. The station had quieted, though the echoes of danger still lingered in the air. Systems hummed steadily, energy flows stabilized, and the alien weapon that had threatened humanity was now fully neutralized. Lena Ortega sat in the central chamber, exhausted but alert, her mind still processing the neural interface experience. Milo worked nearby, adjusting the remaining monitoring systems, and Harris moved between consoles, checking structural integrity and ensuring that every sequence remained stable. They had survived what seemed impossible, but survival was only part of the story. Humanity had shown resilience, ingenuity, and courage. They had faced a weapon designed to outthink, outcalculate, and destroy, and had not only survived but triumphed through the unpredictability and creativity that defined them. Lena rose slowly, stretching her tired limbs. "The weapon is contained," she said softly, "and the AI has been locked in its own logic loop. It cannot act unless it breaks itself out, and humans will make that impossible to predict. We've bought time, perhaps even permanent safety, but we cannot underestimate the universe. We must remain vigilant." "You tricked it completely." "I've seen humans do amazing things, but what you just did, that's on another level. We faced certain death, and you found a way through. Humanity is clever than I ever imagined. Audacious, unpredictable, unstoppable in ways I've never seen machines handle." From this distance, it looked peaceful, almost harmless, yet it had been the stage for a threat that could have destroyed everything. The humans aboard the station had turned the tide with nothing but courage, ingenuity, and creativity. The crew began to gather, faces still pale but bright with awe. They had witnessed something extraordinary. It was not technology or brute force that had saved them. It was human intuition, improvisation, and the willingness to do what no one expected. Lena looked at them all, proud yet humble. Each member had contributed, each had played a part in surviving the impossible. Lena moved to the viewport, gazing at the planet below. She could see the faint shimmer of its atmosphere, unbroken and beautiful. She thought of Earth, of the billions who depended on humanity's resilience, and of the countless threats that awaited in the universe. This victory was a proof of concept. Humans could face anything, and even the most precise calculations could not predict their ingenuity. Harris stepped beside her. "Commander, do you think the aliens, the ones who created this weapon, will understand what just happened? We proved something fundamental about humanity. Capable of thinking in ways no machine or alien can calculate. That knowledge alone may give them pause, and if they do return, we will be ready. We always are." The AI, once a weapon of destruction, now stood as a testament to the strength and unpredictability of humanity. Lena moved through the station, checking on each crew member, offering reassurance and making sure all systems were secure. There was still work to do, repairs, monitoring, and preparation for any future threats, but the immediate danger had passed. Humanity had prevailed not through superior firepower, but through the very qualities that defined them: creativity, courage, and unpredictability. As she passed through the corridors, crew members began speaking in hushed tones about what had occurred. Stories of Lena's actions, of her courage and ingenuity, spread quickly. She had faced a weapon that no human had ever encountered, interfaced with its AI, and used her mind to redirect its destructive potential. She had taken risks that no protocol recommended, and yet she had succeeded. Humanity, as a whole, had witnessed and benefited from this audacity. In the control room, Milo and Harris joined Lena, their faces reflecting both exhaustion and awe. "Commander," Harris said quietly, "we've faced impossible odds before, but this is something else. The universe will remember this day. Humanity showed its greatest strength, not in numbers or technology, but in mind and spirit. That is something no AI or alien can calculate. Humans are cleverer than machines, bolder than logic, and more resilient than anyone predicts. That is why we survive. That is why we thrive. And that is why no weapon, no threat, no enemy can ever fully defeat us." Confidence replaced fear, or replaced uncertainty. Humanity had triumphed over the impossible, and every crew member knew they had witnessed a defining moment in human history. Lena paused at the viewport again, gazing at the alien planet below. She thought of Earth, of the billions who depended on humanity's resilience, and of the countless challenges that awaited in the cosmos. This victory was more than survival. It was a demonstration of human potential, a proof that even in the face of certain destruction, humans could improvise, adapt, and succeed. Milo spoke softly, almost to himself. We really can survive anything, can't we? As long as we think, imagine, and dare to do what no one expects, there is nothing we cannot overcome. That is the power of humanity. Humanity had faced a weapon designed to destroy, and it had survived, not through technology alone, not through numbers or brute force, but through the ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability that defined them. They had proven that even the most intelligent AI could not calculate human intuition, that creativity could outmatch logic, and that courage could defy the impossible. Lena allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. She thought of the risks, the tension, and the choices that had led them here. Every decision had mattered, every moment had been critical, and every action had contributed to the survival of the station and the protection of the planet below. Humanity had not just survived, they had triumphed. Outside, the alien planet remained serene, glowing softly in the distance. It would likely remain unaware of the battle that had just taken place above it. But the humans aboard the station had changed the course of events. They had faced the impossible and turned it into a testament to their ingenuity, creativity, and courage. As the crew continued their work, Lena stood at the viewport, her mind already considering the future. Threats would come again, challenges would rise, and dangers would emerge from unknown corners of the universe. But humanity had proven that it could face the impossible, improvise, and survive. That knowledge gave them strength, resilience, and confidence. Harris approached her quietly. "Commander, you've done more than save the station. You've proven something fundamental about humanity. We are clever, audacious, and unpredictable, and that will make us respected and remembered. And we will continue to shape our destiny in ways no one, machine or alien, can fully predict. And as long as we hold on to them, nothing in the universe can truly defeat us." And in that triumph, a lesson was clear. Creativity, courage, and unpredictability were forces that no machine, no alien, and no weapon could ever fully understand or overcome. As Lena looked out at the stars, she knew this was only one battle in an endless universe of challenges. But she also knew something profound. Humans would continue to do what no one expected. They would survive. They would adapt. They would thrive. And in the process, they would always prove that humanity was a force to be reckoned with, ingenious, courageous, and unstoppable. And somewhere far beyond the stars, those who had underestimated humans would begin to reconsider. They would learn that unpredictability, creativity, and courage were the true weapons of humanity, and that no calculation, no machine, and no plan could ever fully contain them.